I hope you have your bells. Alleluia! Christ is risen. He is risen indeed. Alleluia! Well, today might not feel very much like Easter. We're not ringing in the Alleluia with bells together. Many family Easter traditions are just not happening today, or if they are, they're virtual. In fact, even the resurrection might seem less real than usual. We're hearing the counts of COVID-19 all the time. Sickness and death seem more present than ever. Any kind of joy can seem kind of forced or even fake. But here we are, and it's Easter. I like John's Easter Gospel, especially this year. Mary Magdalene got to the tomb early in the morning, and what I like about it is the phrase, while it was still dark. While it was still dark, the resurrection happened. The dawn of a new day had not come yet. The raw realities of Jesus' death and burial were all that they knew. The intense grief and uncertainty were still so very real. And yet, in the midst of all that pain and sorrow, the resurrection happened. Resurrection did not have to wait for the sun to rise. It didn't have to wait until everyone was ready. It just happened. Before most people were awake, when nobody was watching, God's life-giving power said yes in the midst of all the no's of the world. God was defiant, defying the power of death. And God was persistent. Did you notice it took 2 angels and a minor argument with the resurrected Jesus before Mary even heard her name? And God defied death. God persisted when no one seemed to recognize the resurrected Jesus, even when he was standing right in front of them. And so it is today. In this world that is scarred and scared by this pandemic, the resurrected Jesus keeps trying again and again to help us see the life-giving power that God has promised to us all along, while it was still dark. It is still dark here, and yet the resurrection happens here and now. But it's hard to see. As I walk these days, for some reason it seems important to look down, to not look at people, almost as if the virus can be transmitted through eye-to-eye contact. But that makes it so hard to see all the life around. What I like about this Easter story is that it does not ignore the realities of this day, of this virus, of this scary new world. This story makes it clear that even as we look down, even as we're still trying to figure out what all this means, the resurrection happens in our world and in our lives. As we continue social distancing, as long as we long to get together for worship and coffee hour, and as we long to be with friends and family, the resurrection is happening. As the darkness of increasing COVID-19 cases and deaths continue, the resurrection happens. And we don't even have to look for it. We don't have to look for the resurrected Christ. He comes and meets us right where we're at. He came as one of us in the flesh. And he comes right here in the midst of all the scary numbers, in the midst of isolation, in the midst of an unknown future. Freely he comes to us again and again. If you think about it, our experiences this Easter are quite similar to those of the first Easter. In the midst of fear and anxiety and disappointment, we can sing Alleluia with hope, strength, defiance, persistence, and joy. Death has lost its sting. Life has come to us even this year through the empty tomb, whether we know it or not. And to that we say, Alleluia, Christ is risen indeed, Alleluia.